Welcome into First Take. What's up, everybody? Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman,
What's up?
Molly Karam.
What's up, Ma? How you
Pretty
doing?
excited for today's show.
Everything all right?
I don't know about you guys. How are you guys feeling today? Feeling good?
Yeah, except I'm thinking about something that's going to happen later in the show, and the thought of you gloating about it does not sit well. But, yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You're miserable about that. I'm miserable about how we have to start the show.
And that
Well,
makes
I'm
me
happy, and I'm full of positive energy, so that makes one of us with these angry New Yorkers. Coming up on today's show, these guys will give their top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and you do not want to miss their list a little bit later in the show. We'll get into it, but you know where we're starting. Timmy Tebow. Stephen A. A little Tebow time to get your morning started off right. In his first at-bat of his first instructional league game, Tebow crushed the first pitch he saw, a 91-mile-per-hour fastball to the opposite field for a home run, circling the bases with the quickness. Mr. Smith, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about Timmy getting the job done?
This is unbelievable. First of all, let's be very, very clear. I'm very disgusted.
Why?
Because I can't escape him. I mean, it's unbelievable. I could not believe that he hit a home run on his first pitch in the instructional league.
Can't
I was
make
like
this up.
I said, this cannot be happening. I said, it's right when I started my radio show. I was like, this cannot be happening to me. And everybody like, what happened? What happened? I like, he just hit a home run. I can't believe this is true. I cannot believe it. You know, he couldn't throw a football, all right? He probably can't throw a damn baseball. He looks too puffed, too buff to be playing baseball as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying?
He does look a little fit. I'll give you that.
A little. Yeah, Popeye, really? I mean, come on now. I just thought about all of that.
Talking about future Hall of Famer right there.
And then I said, you know, if this boy this young man ends up really shining and elevating himself to the major leagues, it's going to be one of the greatest stories ever. But then he came back down to earth. Because, no, I'm not getting nervous.
A little nervous.
Mollywood, the man went 1 for 6.
Oh.
1 for 6 in the instructional league, okay? Now, that's only one game, his first, okay? Hadn't played baseball since high school. You know, it just really disgusts me because he's experiencing a level of privilege that most people don't get to experience. I have nothing against Tebow personally. I'm not mad at him for taking the opportunity. It makes sense. I'm just saying, my goodness, as much as I've been going off about how he didn't deserve the opportunity, could you imagine what I felt at that moment when the first pitch he saw was a home run? I said, this cannot be happening to me. It cannot be happening. But then he came back down to earth, so I'm okay now.
What has happened to my life that when I got the news, I read it on Twitter first, the first thing I thought about was Stephen A. Smith.
That's going to keep
What has happened to my life that you are the first image? His smiling face is the first image that flashed through my mind.
I would say that I do have that kind of effect.
Apparently.
It's all right. It's all right.
Now,
oh, gosh.
You said he can't throw a football. You neglected to mention he was able to throw a football for a pass for a touchdown against your Steelers in the playoffs.
A dead clock is right twice a day. Really? Is he? Is it? Are we sure?
He is
Are we sure? Because you're in the instructional league?
You know what?
I mean, we don't know that.
The instructional league is where prospects go.
Yeah.
You have former major leaguers rehabbing injury, working on stuff. A guy wants to refine a skill, whatever. But there are prospects. The pitcher he hit it off of was a product of Vanderbilt, not some Division II.
You spoke at Vanderbilt. You're familiar
Not
with
some
the
Division II team.
That's my second institution, my second home.
First pitch was a 90-plus mile an hour fastball. It's not like a guy who's never played since high school is a great enough athlete that he can take a 90-plus mile an hour fastball. Let me tell you my favorite stuff. Here's chronologically 1, 2, 3. He comes up to the plate. There you see it. His first pitch that he sees, by the way, you notice that the pitcher is a lefty.
We actually have highlights of that.
That's a lefty-lefty matchup. That's difficult against a prospect. And the first pitch he sees, he hits for a home run. That wasn't even the best part. It was the other way. He didn't try to pull that ball. He took it the other way for a home run. That's not the best part. You know what the best part was? He busted it out of the box. He busted it out of the box. So you mean to tell me you haven't played baseball since high school? You go to the instructional league where you face other prospects. It's like you're a prospect. Where you face prospects. You're a lefty. The first pitch you see is from a left-handed prospect. It's an over 90-mile-an-hour fastball, outside part of the plate, lefty. Your first swing, you take it the other way for a home run and bust it out of the box? And you want to dwell on the fact that he's 1 for 6?
Yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Stephen A.
I'm sorry, was 1 for 6 not a fact? I think it is. You know what? I'm going to leave this alone because I don't even want to talk about this no more. I'm so disgusted that this is even a subject. I will say this, though. He's got a great agent. He's got a great agent.
He's got a lot of athletic ability. Let me tell you something.
He's got a great agent because I cannot believe he got this opportunity. Yeah. It just amazes me.
That's the problem. No, see, Molly, that's the problem. He didn't want him to have the opportunity. Then he hits a home run. Yeah. So now what can you say? Is it a wasted opportunity? Is it an opportunity for nothing?
1 for 6.
Excuse me, before we go to break, what does your boy Jeff always say? Life isn't fair. Please say the quote, your favorite quote.
Fair is a place where they judge pigs.
Thank you.
Does not exist.
Thank you. We have another subject to get to.
Let's move on.
That was some pig.
Let's move on.
That's an award-winning pig.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Can we move on, please?
Let's move on to Tim's former sport, pro football. We have more information on Dez Bryant's injury. An MRI finally taken Wednesday revealed Bryant suffered a hairline fracture. I don't know how to pronounce this, of the right tibial plateau, I think it is, which is part of the knee joint at the top of the tibia. So according to the Dallas Morning News and confirmed by ESPN's Todd Archer, the delay in Bryant getting an MRI was because he was absent from Monday's required treatment for injured players and Tuesday's team meetings. He's supposed to be fine. The injury could sideline Bryant 0 to 3 weeks, and he won't need surgery, sources telling Adam Schefter and Ed Werder. Max, are the boys in trouble?
They are. But I first want to talk about Dez Bryant, who's unfairly maligned in the past for, like, rooting on his teammates and stuff like that. Has always seemed to me to be an excellent teammate, not just a great player, a great receiver, when he's on the field. And so his behavior in the past, which was unfairly, I think, characterized as a negative influence on the team, where I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to have an attitude like that on their team, you know, demonstrative but always in support of the team. I think you miss treatment, you miss a meeting, then the machine isn't working on a Wednesday, and there's always some issue. Sounds to me like he's avoiding a diagnosis. Now, why do you avoid a diagnosis if that diagnosis can keep you out for, let's say, 3 weeks? Because you want to get on the field. Dez Bryant seems to me to be the kind of guy who has drank the football Kool-Aid that says no matter what, get on the field. Yeah, but what if it's not good for your long-term health? What if it's not good for your career, et cetera? He's trying to get on the field. That's what it looks like to me, absorbing fines, because that's the best way to get it done at this point. And what that tells me is that he thinks this is bad, or you wouldn't avoid a diagnosis. And if Dez Bryant, if Mike, this is pure conjecture, but if that proves to be the case, then Stephen A. Smith, the Cowboys are left at receiver with Coleman and Beasley, and an aging Jason Witten. Okay, they have a great offensive line, although La'el Collins is going to be out for a couple weeks at least with a toe. So that offensive line is going to be something less than it should be, something less than it normally is. Ezekiel Elliott carried the ball 30 times. Look, he had his first excellent game after 2 bad ones. He had his first excellent game. He averaged under 5 yards a carry, like 4.7 yards a carry, but carried the ball 30 times. He's carrying the ball just about as much as anyone in the NFL. How much more can you rely on that guy? Your receiving core is substandard. Dak Prescott is the real deal, but the real deal is a rookie. You still assume at some point they're going to get tape on you. They're going to start to game plan for you. They're going to start to take away the things that you do well and force you to do things you're less comfortable with. He is still a rookie. Dallas still doesn't have a defense. The Cowboys are in trouble. All signs point to trouble, and I think to last place in the NFC East by the time this season's over.
Dak Prescott has completed 66.7% of his passes. He's completed 66 of 99 passes. 34 of them have gone to Cole Beasley and Jason Witten. So when I look at it from this perspective, it's not good not to have Dez Bryant in the lineup, but specifically when you have Romo. When you have Dak Prescott, because he's a rookie 4th-round pick, because they're being a relatively conservative in their approach with him and what have you, they're basically targeting the middle of the field. throwing in between the numbers. That's where he's completed a vast majority of his passes. So by virtue of that reality, I don't think Des Bryant is that devastating of a loss at this juncture. If Tony Romo was the quarterback, who likes to go deep, who can go deep, who doesn't mind throwing outside the numbers, being a gunslinger, taking charge or taking chances rather, then it would be different. It would be a devastating blow, even though Jason Witten was his favorite target and he always got the ball to Jason Witten. The fact of the matter is Cole Beasley has really, really emerged. He's a guy who took a lick last week against Chicago. I forgot who hit him. Oh, I mean, almost knocked him into tomorrow. That was a vicious hit. But he's tough as nails. He doesn't mind catching balls in the middle of the field. Him with Jason Witten and to a lesser degree Terrence Williams and his willingness, along with various other targets that they've utilized, they're throwing the ball in the middle of the field. And because they're not going outside the numbers, which is where Des can go up in solo coverage, or even when he's not open, he's still open because he's Des Bryant and he can find a way to make things happen. If Tony Romo were your quarterback, then you have a bigger concern because you know what Tony Romo likes to do, what he wants to do, what he's prone to do. But with Dak Prescott, following the game plan, being used in a conservative manner, not taking too many chances, throwing the ball in the middle of the field, short yardage situations, not to mention the fact that he's handing the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott or Alfred Morris while only getting sacked a few times, okay? If you look at it from that perspective, Des Bryant is not that big of a loss yet. Now, if you want to say he's a loss, you could say it from this perspective. He's a decoy. Because having him on the field 100% healthy forces you to spread your defense a little bit wider because you have to pay attention to him, monitor him, and you can't take for granted that you can leave him in single coverage and he's not going to go up there and get the football. So as a result, you can compromise yourself in that regard. But outside of that, that's the only argument you can make as far as I'm concerned to speak to Des Bryant's value right now. He's only had 11 receptions in the first 3 games. 11 receptions. He hasn't been that big of a factor because Tony Romo is not there yet. And I look at it from the standpoint, if you're Dak Prescott, you're going to miss him because there's always value in Des Bryant. But you're certainly not going to miss him as much as you would have, as much as Tony Romo would have missed him.
Here's the problem with what you're saying.
Yeah.
If Stephen A. Smith knows that's the game plan, you think, I'm looking at the schedule, okay, the 49ers, they could look good against the 49ers, but you think the Bengals, you think Marvin Lewis, you think the Eagles, you think Peterson and Schwartz, you think the Packers, they have a game, this season later on with the Steelers, you think Mike Tom, you think these head coaches and defensive coordinators don't know what the game plan is? And you mentioned Des Bryant as a decoy. You mentioned the fact that Des Bryant just being on the field poses a threat that maybe enables you to do some of the things you want to do. But now Des Bryant, if in fact he's not on the field, at least in those 3 weeks coming up, so you do have the Bengals and the Packers.
Got it.
If Des is not on the field and these coaches start to get tape and start to understand the game plan and start to take that away from the Cowboys, I mean, first of all, forget about passes in the middle of the field. Just shut down the running game, and you're going to beat the Cowboys.
Well, I know that you didn't intend for it to be a rhetorical question, but it came across that way, so I'm going to answer it anyway. Here's the deal. You brought up San Francisco. Does Stephen A. knows this. Do you think that Chip Kelly? Well, I don't consider Chip Kelly that bright because I think his ego
I actually skipped Chip. I actually skipped San Francisco.
So we're going to go down the list. Okay, so then you brought Cincinnati. Well, that's Marvin Lewis, allergic to playoff prosperity.
Are we in the playoffs?
We're not in the playoffs, but because he's allergic to prosperity in the playoffs, I think it's sifted down like a virus to the regular season. That's why they're 1-2 thus far, when they shouldn't be 1-2. So we got that. Green Bay, their defense hasn't been that impressive, and then there's a bye week. And oh, by the way, Des Bryant, they're saying he's out anywhere from day to day to 3 weeks. So you're talking about Green Bay being 3 weeks from now. So I would say to you, you're talking about San Francisco and Cincinnati, comparing them to my acumen. I don't mind that challenge because based on the way that they've looked, it's a challenge I'm willing to take, as ignorant as I may be.
Yeah, well, if the Cowboys don't have Des Bryant, and they obviously don't have Tony Romo, I'm telling you right now, they're going to lose to the Bengals. That game, they lose to the Bengals.
Well, I ain't saying...
The Niners, they got a shot. They lose to the Bengals, and they lose to the Packers. So, you start to look at the NFC East. The Giants gave that game away to Washington. Washington is a healthier team, at the very least, than the Cowboys, and the Eagles have been world beaters so far. Who are the Cowboys better than in the NFC East?
Well, listen.
Without Des.
Listen. Without Dez, you don't know the answer to that question. The Redskins are allergic to prosperity. The Giants find ways to disappoint you, whether it's giving up 21-9 leads or Eli throwing interceptions, or Odell Beckham Jr. or Odell Beckham Jr. having a contagion effect on the team, and as a result, it being something that affects them. And of course, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles. Look. The Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz deserves a lot of credit, but I think that's the only team that you can definitively say is better than the Cowboys in the NFC East at this juncture. I think that's the only team you can definitively say. I think the Giants and the Redskins are question marks. We need to wait and see about them.
You know what's amazing about you?
Sure.
I don't know which Stephen A. Smith. Matter of fact, I don't even have to argue with you. Stephen A. Smith should argue with Stephen A. Smith, because you started the season by saying you take the Cowboys in the NFC East.
Yes. Before Tony Romo got hurt, by the way.
No sooner is week one over that you are ranting and raving about how the Cowboys, if something will go wrong, something it will go wrong, those guys are done, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm telling you they're coming in last in the NFC East, and you're telling me no.
Because you have to understand.
You don't need to just argue with yourself.
I enjoy talking about the Cowboys in this respect. I enjoy reminding the world. I never, ever, ever predict the Cowboys are going to stink, they're going to prosper, they're going to. All I ever say is, when the moment arrives, no matter what, be patient, just wait. Whatever level of extreme misery is destined to come a team's way, it will hit the Cowboys. It could be with injuries that ruined their season like last year. It could be with the catch that wasn't a catch against Green Bay in the playoffs.
Wait, could you tell me that part again?
It could be the catch. I said
no, before. Injuries?
Yes.
It could be injuries that ruined their season like last year?
Allow me this.
Like what, like Romo and Dez?
I need you to listen.
Go ahead.
Because I know it's hard for you.
All right.
But I need you to listen.
Romo and Dez are hurt.
What I'm saying to you is, when it comes to the Cowboys, this is my lone position. Continuously, always. I have years and years of footage to validate my position. Whatever can go wrong will, at the most inopportune time that brings them the most pain. Last year was injuries that ruined their season after they were coming off a 12-4 season thinking they were going to do something special. And they got injured early and it just ruined everything. The year before that, they came out of nowhere, grabbed 12 wins, got to the playoffs, and a catch that wasn't a catch ruined their chance to get to the NFC Championship game. The year before that were 8-8 seasons. Whatever it is that can ruin something for them. That's who the Cowboys are. They cannot help it. They cannot escape it. It's a black cat running around the franchise like that. It's been that way for the last 20 years, and I must say, I absolutely love it.
Okay. You just witnessed that, right?
It tickles me.
I win.
Huh?
Right. This is the thing. You said, like last year, when injuries derailed their season early. Well, this year, the same thing happened. The difference is they found a good young quarterback, a really good young quarterback.
Right.
I like Dak Prescott's future.
Right.
I don't think the future is now,
let me tell you something
particularly without their only really good receiver.
We talk about what should happen. We talk about what could happen. We talk about we deem and deduce what may be best. But I'm telling you right now, the Cowboys are messing. Keep talking about Dak Prescott. How much you want to make a bet Tony Romo will ruin the season? How much you want to make a bet? Because that's what happens to the Cowboys. Keep talking about Ezekiel Elliott. Watch, he's going to fumble the ball. He's going to get hurt or something. Keep talking about Dez Bryant. This injury is going to end up lasting 6 weeks instead of 3. Whatever can go wrong with the Cowboys will happen. That's all I ever say. That's all I ever say. I never say anything else.
The question is, didn't you ask me, are the Cowboys in trouble?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm saying yes. What do you say?
And I said to you, no. You know why? Because nothing's changed. They always are.
They were always are.
They hoodwink you. They force you to take a stance. No, they can't help themselves. They will find
I didn't pick them to win the NFC East.
I know that. I understand.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Hold on, wait a minute. It's a mistake. I don't mind. I actually get joy from it. The Cowboys tanking, the Cowboys folding, the Cowboys suddenly losing. You think I'm going to be miserable over that? Please, let me eat my cheese doodles for crying out loud. Whatever
you should show people your breakfast.
By the way, can we show
your breakfast?
Stephen A. has been making great progress. He's dropped 12 pounds. I see him drinking these vegetable shakes all the time.
And now you got him, but that's him.
What do you got? What are you doing?
This is my vice, man.
For breakfast?
This is my vice.
What's the point?
It's not, you lost all this weight. You're in the gym. What are you doing?
This is like his Cowboys thing. He's a walking contradiction.
We're all allowed to cheat every now and then.
You just cheat every day.
Every now and then. Every now and then. It's just a little bit. It's just a little bit.
This is his Cowboys argument. You see? They're going to win the division, but they're going to ruin it. It's like, I'm going to have a vegetable shake. and a bag of Cheetos.
You
It's the same thing.
have not
And it all
been watching
equals
me
itself
about
out.
the Cowboys. I am not that way with anything else, but with the Cowboys, it does not matter to me, man. Whatever brings them the most misery brings me joy.
Well, you know, we can finally agree on something.
Yes, we will leave it there.